Welcome to 5 and 5 from the One Stop Co-op Shop, where I discuss 5 key elements of a game in about 5 minutes. I'm Michael Kelly, and today I'm looking at Viticulture World, the new solo and co-op expansion for Viticulture from Stonemaier Games. And a disclaimer that I was sent a review copy of the game. I had never played Viticulture before, solo or competitive, but I love the idea of more Euros having cooperative modes, so how does this one hold up? Let's find out and get to the list. So first at number 5, a full pro for me, is the solo bot, the Automa you can play in solo games to kind of fill out your cooperative experience. And I really like how this bot works because it's basically a mix of a helper and a hindrance. Viticulture is a worker placement game. You're filling up these worker spots. And how the bot works is at the beginning of each season, it will randomly fill a bunch of the spots. So you'll have to kind of deal with spaces being unavailable for the actions you might have wanted to do. But at the same time, the bot is collecting money every round, and they can spend some money to remove their workers if you really need an action spot. They can also spend money to upgrade actions on the board, something you can do too. They can spend actions to forward your victory conditions, and they even have a hand of cards to help with luck mitigation. If you get the wrong kind of cards, you can trade with them, and they can also give you other bonuses. So overall, I think it's really cool that the bot kind of blocks you up to keep that worker placement tension there, but also gives you a lot of cool ways to help yourself and be more successful. But more of a mix for me is my number 4, which are the event decks. So you've got 7 of these event decks in the game of varying difficulties, each themed after a different part of the world and their wine industry. And you use one in each game, and they each add some kind of special mechanic, and then also you draw an event card from their deck at the beginning of each round, which will give you special actions you can take, or limitations, or bonuses to go for. And on the positive side, these are pretty cool to explore. Several of them add unique little mechanics to the game, like hiring people to help you with ongoing bonuses. But on the negative side, once that initial blush of exploring them wears off, I found them a little bit too samey. They tended, even with the different mechanics, to mostly just feel like, hey, for this round, this action's a little bit better, or this action's a little bit worse. It didn't have as much variety in the long term, at least for me. Next, my number 3, unfortunately, is a full-on con, and that's the balance for some of the player powers and the action spaces. Now, full disclosure, I've only played the game about 10 times. I'm not a viticulture expert, so I won't claim that this is 100% a sure thing, but I found in my play that some of the action spaces are way better than others, way more important, and the game knows this because they actually make upgrading those actions more expensive and upgrading other ones give you a bonus. But that's not enough in my experience to make up the difference. I'm still going to upgrade these key action spaces to make them more valuable. And also these upgrade tiles that come out, while it's really fun to upgrade the board and make your actions more effective, some of them totally kind of control your entire strategy. So I'll find that like whatever the first couple tiles that come out, that'll often kind of dictate what I'm doing for that game and sort of lead me down a specific path. So I don't know. I wish the balance was a little bit better. I wish there were kind of tougher choices sometimes. It feels like a lot of stuff becomes maybe a bit obvious. But I'm back to a full pro for my number 2, which is the cooperation when you play with 2 or more players. First of all, I really like how they did the worker placement, because cooperative worker placement is still pretty rare. You're fighting over, well, not really fighting over, but you're trying to share these spots, these action spaces that you need. So that already can lead to good table conversations. But then on top of that, the upgrades I mentioned can make some action spaces able to hold any number of player figures. So that really opens things up and lets you kind of help each other out, because the upgrades go to everybody. They help everyone. So in especially a higher player count game, you can really shape the board to give each other great bonuses. And then kind of like with the solo bot, there's trading if you put your grande worker on the same space as some other players' workers, so you can kind of get each other the cards you need, again, mitigate the luck and the randomness of the draw. I just think it's a really cool, well-done cooperative worker placement system. But I am going to end with a mix, and that's focused on the play variety, and this is a common complaint of mine for Euros. So if you are a lover of Euros that have tactical differences game to game, this might not bother you at all. But basically, while on the positive side, there is a nice amount of randomness to change up what happens in each game. You've got the different event decks and what order those event cards come out in. You've got the different order the upgrades come out, the card draw from the different decks you might draw from. But all that being said, the game is so tight, only 6 rounds. The victory conditions do not change. Victory points, influence, you're always doing the same thing. So on the negative side, while I felt play to play that there were some tactical differences, I didn't really feel like I was doing anything majorly different game to game. Again, might not bother you at all based on your Euro preferences, but wasn't super stellar for me. So overall, I think you should check out Viticulture World if you enjoyed Viticulture. I think this is a great expansion with a lot of new elements. I didn't even talk about about the new workers with a summer and winter hat that really changes things up. Also, if you like worker placement games in general and want a fun spin on them with solo and co-op play, still pretty rare. I think it's definitely worth checking out. This is a nice one. But on the other hand, if you want Euros with tons of play variety and very, very different strategies to try out, I think this one kind of takes a narrower path. And also, I think sometimes the balance feels a little off or sometimes a bit too obvious. That might bug some players. And if you want to see the game in action, I have a full solo playthrough up on the channel. You can click the link that just popped up to check it out. Good gaming, everyone, and I'll see you at the next stop.